One switch flips, and suddenly the world feels a lot smaller and a lot more dangerous. The fridge hum stops. The taps run dry. Your phone screen goes black. Within hours, food spoils, security fades, and panic starts whispering through the streets. See, a blackout doesn't just cut power, it fractures everything built on that current. Water systems stop pumping. Gas stations can't dispense fuel. Communication networks collapse. One domino falls, and the rest tumble fast. You realize how deeply modern life depends on a constant, invisible flow of electricity and how fragile it really is. That's why the smartest preppers don't obsess over flashy gadgets or overstocked bunkers. They focus on capability. Every item they choose earns its place by doing more than one thing, because the best gear multiplies your options. So, in this video, we're not talking about the usual flashlight generator list. We're diving into the 11 most overlooked items that turn blackout survival from desperate to strategic. These aren't luxuries, they're lifelines. And by the end, you'll see how small, ordinary things, the ones sitting quietly in your closet or hardware drawer, can become your most powerful survival assets when the world goes dark. Item number 11, thermal insulation layers. When the power goes out, your first instinct might be to reach for a flashlight, but the real threat sneaks in quietly. Cold. It doesn't roar like fire or flood, it just slowly drains you. See, when the grid dies, heating systems are the first to follow. Electric heaters stop, furnaces stall, and even gas systems with electric igniters fail. That's when every degree of body heat becomes a precious resource. You can stock food, store water, and pile up flashlights, but if you can't stay warm, none of it matters. Now, I'm not just talking about wrapping yourself in a blanket. Real preparedness means layering like your life depends on it, because it does. Wool liners, thermal base layers, emergency bivy sacks, and insulated sleeping pads all work together to trap heat instead of letting the cold ground or air steal it away. A lot of people underestimate this, but most body heat escapes through contact, like lying directly on a cold floor or sitting on concrete. A $10 foam pad under you can save more heat than an extra $100 blanket over you. And here's the best part. These things are light, compact, and often dirt cheap. You can find emergency foil blankets for the price of a cup of coffee. They weigh almost nothing, but they can literally turn a hypothermia situation into a survivable night. Combine those with wool socks, gloves, and a few thermal layers, and suddenly the cold isn't your enemy, it's just an inconvenience. Think of insulation as a multiplier. It doesn't generate energy, it preserves it. You can last longer with less fuel, fewer resources, and minimal effort. And in a barter situation, good insulation gear will trade faster than gold, because no one can sleep or function if they're freezing. The smartest survivalists don't think of warmth as a luxury. They think of it as their first line of defense. So before you chase the high-tech stuff like generators, solar panels, or batteries, make sure your body heat is locked in. Item number 10, passive solar reflectors and radiant shields. Here's something most people completely overlook. During a blackout, you still have one unlimited power source, the sun. No outlet required. You just need to know how to capture it, redirect it, and make it work for you. That's where passive solar reflectors and radiant shields come in. Reflective panels, mylar sheets, and radiant insulation are some of the simplest and most effective blackout tools you'll ever own, and they cost almost nothing. Hang a mylar emergency blanket behind a window where sunlight comes through, and you've just doubled your natural light and warmth. Line one wall with reflective material, and you can bounce both sunlight and candlelight deeper into a room. It's low-tech science. Reflective surfaces concentrate and distribute radiant energy, which means more heat and visibility without using a single watt of electricity. You can even take it further. Paint a piece of plywood with reflective silver or white paint, position it to catch sunlight, and you've made your own DIY solar amplifier. People have used setups like this to warm rooms, dry clothes, even heat small water containers in emergencies. And radiant shields aren't just for warmth, they can keep you cool too. In summer blackouts, when air conditioners are useless, reflectors placed outside windows can deflect the harsh sun, dropping indoor temperatures by several degrees. The beauty of this gear is its versatility. You can fold it, cut it, tape it, or layer it anywhere. It weighs almost nothing, it's reusable, and it works 24/7 as long as the sun still rises. So while everyone else is burning through candles and propane trying to fight the cold, you're sitting in a sunlit room, staying warm for free. That's the survivalist edge, knowing how to stretch nature's energy when man-made systems fail. Item number 9, gravity-driven water filter system. You can last weeks without food, but only days without clean water. And in a blackout, every faucet, purifier, and electric pump becomes useless. That's why gravity-fed water filters are one of the smartest, most underrated survival tools you can own. Think of it as the lazy prepper's miracle. No batteries, no charging, no moving parts. Just pour dirty water in the top and let gravity do all the work. What comes out is clean, safe drinking water, filtered drop by drop all day long. It's the definition of low effort, high reward. Now, there's a reason experienced survivalists swear by these systems. In real disasters, from hurricanes to long-term power outages, people discover that access to clean water disappears faster than toilet paper in a pandemic. And boiling water takes fuel, which eventually runs out. Gravity filters, on the other hand, just keep going. You can process lake water, rainwater, or even questionable tap sources without lifting a finger. The real power is in the simplicity. A couple of stainless steel buckets or durable plastic containers, a quality ceramic or carbon filter element, and gravity. That's it. The top tank feeds into the lower one as the filter purifies it. It's continuous, quiet, and totally off-grid. You can leave it running while you handle other things, and it'll fill itself over time. In a barter situation, these are gold. People panic when their bottled water runs out, and even small portable gravity filters become highly tradable. The ability to produce clean water and not just consume it makes you the most valuable person in any community. And here's the underrated bonus. Maintenance is almost zero. Rinse the filters, clean the containers, and they'll last months, sometimes years. It's long-term sustainability in its simplest form. Item number 8, biodefensive soap and silver-infused hygiene. Kit, in disaster zones and prolonged blackouts, more people fall sick from infection and poor sanitation than from hunger itself. That's where biodefensive soap and silver-infused hygiene gear come in. They don't just clean, they protect. You might not think of soap as a survival tool, but once you've lived without it for a few days, it becomes pure gold. Regular soap breaks down dirt and oil, sure, but silver-infused soap or wipes go a step further. Silver ions kill bacteria and viruses on contact, offering extended protection even when you can't rinse fully or waste water. It's the science hospitals have used for years, packed into a bar of soap or a reusable cloth. Now imagine this, the grid's down, water's rationed, and you can't take showers. With just a bit of biodegradable soap, a cloth, and minimal water, you can still clean yourself, sterilize utensils, wash small wounds, or even wipe down surfaces. Each action reduces your infection risk, which means fewer medical emergencies when medical help no longer exists. A proper hygiene kit, which has soap, silver wipes, toothbrush, toothpaste, hand sanitizer, and a few clean towels, is like carrying your own mini hospital. It keeps morale up and sickness down. And the best part? Soap never expires. It's cheap, lightweight, and doesn't need refrigeration. You can store dozens of bars and trade them later for food, batteries, or fuel. Because when disease starts spreading, people will pay anything for something as simple as cleanliness. Think of hygiene as your invisible armor. The world can go dark, the system can fall apart, but if you're clean, you're in control. Every drop of water you save, every germ you kill, keeps you one step ahead. Item number 7, low-draw LED lighting circuits. When the grid collapses, light becomes one of the most powerful psychological tools you can have. Darkness breeds panic, confusion, and bad decisions. But lighting brings order back. That's why low-draw LED circuits are such a game changer. Forget flashlights that drain batteries in a few hours. This is about smart illumination that sips power instead of guzzling it. Here's the concept. Instead of running one big light that burns through your energy, you wire a few ultra-efficient LED bulbs in series, creating a low-voltage circuit that spreads soft light across rooms. It's like having a mini power grid inside your home, one you can run off a small solar setup, a power bank, or even a hand-crank generator. You're not just lighting a room, you're building a network that works independently of the grid. The real magic is in control. You can power multiple points of light from a single source, like a small 12-volt battery or solar panel, and stretch it for days. Picture it. One battery, a few meters of wire, and half a dozen LEDs lighting up your living area, kitchen, and hallway. No wasted watt hours, no unnecessary drain, and you can keep a sense of normalcy even when everything outside is pitch black. It's not just about comfort either. Light is security. When everyone else's houses are dark, the faint, steady glow from your LEDs tells you where things are, helps prevent injuries, and keeps morale high. Even dim light is enough to cook, read, or organize your supplies without attracting too much attention from outside. These low-draw systems are cheap to assemble now. You can buy pre-made LED strips, a few connectors, and a small controller unit for next to nothing. But when the power grid stays down for days or weeks, your setup becomes priceless. Because batteries die, candles run out, and generators are loud but a silent LED network powered by sunlight or stored energy, that's efficiency in its purest form. Item number 6. Compact fuel alternatives like bioethanol and solid fuel. Blocks. If you've ever tried surviving a cold night without power, you already know. Heat becomes everything. And when propane or diesel runs dry, that's where compact fuel alternatives step in. Bioethanol, solid fuel blocks, and gel stoves might look like camping gear today, but during a blackout, they become survival gold. Most people underestimate how fast traditional fuel disappears. Gas stations rely on electricity to pump fuel. Propane tanks get rationed. And when supply chains stop, refills don't come. But compact fuels, they're small, safe to store, and burn cleanly without producing heavy smoke or toxic fumes. That means you can use them indoors to cook, boil water, or even heat a small space without choking yourself out. Bioethanol is one of the most versatile options. It's renewable, burns hot, and doesn't leave residue. Pair it with a small portable stove or a metal canister, and you've got a heat source you can light in seconds. Solid fuel tablets, the kind hikers and military rations use, take it even further. They're lightweight, waterproof, and each one can boil a cup of water or heat a meal without wasting space or leaking. Here's where it gets clever. You can make some of these fuels yourself. Bioethanol can be brewed from simple organic waste or even leftover sugar and yeast. So while others scavenge for propane refills, you're quietly producing your own energy source. That's self-reliance on another level. And when it comes to bartering, fuel becomes king. People will trade almost anything for a reliable way to cook, stay warm, or make coffee in the middle of winter. A few fuel blocks or ethanol bottles will hold more trade value than luxury goods because survival runs on calories and comfort. These compact fuels are safe, silent, and stable. They don't spill, they don't explode, and they store for years. You can keep them under your bed, in your car, or in a go bag without worry. And when the blackout drags on longer than anyone expects, you won't just have heat, you'll have leverage. So don't wait until the shelves are empty. A few small bricks of solid fuel today could be the warmth that gets you through tomorrow's longest night. Item number 5. Digital offline maps plus solar-powered navigation. Unless you've memorized every road, trail, and creek in your area, that little blue GPS dot you depend on will vanish with the power. That's where digital offline maps and solar-powered navigation tools come in, the unsung heroes of modern survival. Think of it this way. In a blackout, you're not just losing light or heat, you're losing information. Roads become unrecognizable without streetlights, landmarks disappear in debris, and panic makes even familiar areas feel foreign. But if you've got offline maps preloaded on your phone or a dedicated GPS device powered by a small solar charger, you've just brought clarity back into chaos. Here's what makes it powerful. It's self-sufficient. You don't need towers, Wi-Fi, or power outlets. You just need sunlight. Apps like Maps.me or Gaia GPS let you download your entire region's data ahead of time, complete with terrain, elevation, and water sources. Pair that with a rugged solar power bank or a foldable panel, and you can navigate indefinitely. Imagine bugging out from a city with dead traffic lights, no gas stations, and no internet. Everyone's guessing. You're not. You've got back roads, water access points, and even campable zones already marked. That's not luck, that's foresight. And here's the kicker. A solar GPS setup isn't just for movement. It's a tactical tool. You can track where resources were found, mark safe zones, or locate neighbors without wasting energy or getting lost. When fuel and daylight are both scarce, you can't afford mistakes. This setup minimizes them. You can even repurpose old smartphones, strip them of unnecessary apps, load maps offline, and dedicate one as your navigation device. Keep it charged via solar, and it's practically a digital compass with a lifetime warranty. Item number 4, modular storage and container system. Now, here's a prepper truth no one talks about enough. Disorganization kills supplies. You can have months' worth of food, medicine, and seeds, but if they're scattered, soaked, or spoiled, they're useless. That's why modular storage systems are the silent backbone of blackout survival. Imagine airtight, stackable containers, the kind that seal out moisture, pests, and air. They're not just boxes, they're vaults for your survival. Rice, beans, medical kits, candles, even small tools, everything stays organized, labeled, and protected from the chaos around you. When humidity creeps in or rodents start sniffing around, these containers are your last line of defense. Here's where it gets clever. Modular design means versatility. You can build a system not just storage. Stack containers by category: food, water purification, first aid, hygiene, gear. Label everything clearly. That way, when you need something in the dark, you're not tearing apart your supplies with a flashlight in your mouth. You reach, grab, and go. Plus, containers don't just protect, they multiply space. Stackable bins make small shelters, basements, or even car trunks hyper-efficient. They transform clutter into a clean, sustainable setup. And when you're bugging out, you can toss them into a vehicle or drag them into a new shelter without losing track of what's where. Sealable buckets with gamma lids, vacuum bags for clothing, and food-grade tubs for grains are investments against mold, rot, and chaos. And here's a small but vital tip. Color code them. Blue for water supplies, red for medical, gray for tools. In a blackout, color memory helps you navigate faster than words. The best part? Modular storage also becomes barter gold. A person who's storing loose food or struggling with contamination will trade heavily for clean, dry containment. So don't think of containers as storage. Think of them as structure. When everyone else's supplies are spoiled, scattered, or forgotten, yours will still be stacked, sealed, and ready to fuel the next phase of survival. Item number 3, low-volume, high-calorie nutrition bars. If you've ever looked at a survival ration and thought, how on earth is that tiny bar supposed to feed me for a day? Well, that's exactly the point. These aren't your average protein snacks. They're engineered to deliver dense, essential calories in a compact, lightweight package. When you're running low on fuel, literally or metaphorically, these bars give you an instant, controlled energy boost without the hassle of cooking, washing, or even stopping for long. Now picture this. It's been 2 days since the last fire you lit. You're conserving matches, conserving energy, and you just need to keep moving. That's where these bars shine. A single one can give you between 400 and 1,000 calories, mostly from balanced carbs, fats, and proteins designed for sustained release. You're not just eating to survive, you're managing your body's energy economy like a pro. The best part? They don't spoil quickly. Unlike regular food, which breaks down after a few days or weeks, survival bars can last up to 5 years, sometimes longer if kept sealed. They're heat-resistant, waterproof when wrapped properly, and can handle the rough and tumble of being tossed into a go bag or glove compartment. And here's something most people don't realize. When you're under stress, your body burns calories faster, but digestion slows down. So these bars are formulated to give you usable, easily metabolized energy without upsetting your stomach. You're not sitting around digesting a steak. You're eating smart fuel for motion and clarity. It's also about mental relief. Knowing you can just tear open a bar and move on removes one more decision from your mental load. And that's huge. Decision fatigue is a real threat in survival situations. If you're prepping, don't just buy any bar off the shelf. Go for ones tested for military or expedition-grade endurance, brands like SOS, Daytrex, or Mainstay. And mix them up a bit. Throw in some caffeine or electrolyte bars for variety. Because while these are survival tools, a touch of morale food never hurts. Think of these bars as compressed days of security, compact, efficient, ready when everything else stops working. Item number 2, quiet multi-use hand tools. When things go quiet, really quiet, you don't want to be the only one making noise. That's why silent, hand-powered tools are a prepper's best friend. No engines, no hum, no power cords, just good old mechanical reliability. These tools give you freedom without broadcasting your location. Imagine needing to fix a leak, patch a wall, or break down debris and doing it all without drawing attention. That's the whole idea here. Quiet efficiency. A manual screwdriver instead of a drill, a hand crank saw instead of a chainsaw, a folding wrench that fits in your pocket but can handle heavy-duty bolts. When fuel runs out and batteries die, these tools keep your world running. But beyond repairs, it's about adaptability. In survival scenarios, a tool isn't just for one job, it's for every job. A multi-tool can open cans, strip wire, tighten gear, and even double as a self-defense option if needed. Each piece you carry should serve multiple functions or it's dead weight. And the quiet part is extremely practical. Noise attracts attention, from people, animals, even drones in extreme cases. Hand tools let you stay off-grid and unnoticed while still being productive. There's something deeply satisfying about that. The control, the self-reliance, the absence of dependency on anything external. Don't underestimate their durability either. Hand tools can outlast every generator in your inventory. They don't need parts replaced, they don't short out, and they work in the rain, in the dark, and in absolute silence. For smart prepping, go modular. Build a compact kit that fits into a pouch or small case. Include a foldable saw, a hand crank drill, an adjustable wrench, a screwdriver set with multiple heads, and a multi-tool knife. Each one should have a locking mechanism for safety and, ideally, no unnecessary moving parts. It's not glamorous gear, but it's what keeps your systems alive when the flashier stuff quits. In a world that depends on power, quiet tools are rebellion in physical form. They whisper, "I don't need the grid. I've got this item number 1 mental resilience kit, light distraction plus ritual items." Here's something that most preppers overlook: the mind. You can stockpile food, filter water, even build an underground bunker, but if your mind cracks under pressure, none of it matters. Survival isn't just about muscle or materials, it's about mental stamina, and that's where the mental resilience kit comes in. Think of it as your emergency brake against despair. When chaos hits, your body might survive the cold, the hunger, the exhaustion, but your thoughts? They start to spiral. That's why even the most hardened survivalists keep small anchors, familiar items that ground them in normalcy: a worn deck of cards, a notebook and pencil, a photo of your family, maybe even a tiny MP3 player with a few songs that remind you who you are when everything around you starts feeling unreal. When the noise stops, the mind fills it, and often not in kind ways. Having something tactile or familiar helps you regulate that. Shuffling cards, sketching, writing out a to-do list, or just flipping through old notes becomes a form of therapy. It's a signal to your brain. You're still in control. And it doesn't have to be sentimental or spiritual. For some, it's a stress ball or a small puzzle. For others, it's a prayer bead, a pocket chess set, or even a small harmonica. The goal is engagement, giving your mind something constructive to do so it doesn't eat itself alive. Don't underestimate the power of ritual either. Lighting a small candle at dusk, writing down one line before sleeping, or humming the same tune every morning, these micro routines keep your mental structure intact. They're small acts of order in a world that's gone unpredictable. A good mental resilience kit doesn't take much space, but it can make the difference between keeping your composure or slipping into panic. Military personnel, astronauts, and explorers have known this for decades. When you isolate the human body, the mind becomes the battlefield. So, yes, pack the knives, the filters, the lights, and the layers. But also pack that one little thing that reminds you of you. In the end, your best survival tool isn't in your backpack, it's in your head. And this tiny kit, it keeps that tool sharp. When the grid collapses, your entire rhythm of life is thrown out the window. Power, water, warmth, safety, communication, all gone. But with these 11 items, you don't just survive that silence, you own it. You turn chaos into control and darkness into design. So here's the question. When the lights go out, which of these 11 would you grab first? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you found this useful, hit like, share it with someone who still thinks it won't happen here. And subscribe, because next time we're chaining these tools together into one complete blackout survival blueprint.